Arab world erupted in anger last night following news of an explosion at a hospital in Gaza City. News of the incident also prompted Jordan's King Abdullah to cancel talks with President Joe Biden, Egypt and the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Hussein Aboubakr Mansour is a writer and academic. He was born and raised in Egypt and he joins us now. Thank you very much for being with us, Hussein. It is clear, isn't it, that in the Arab world, or in a large part of the Arab world perhaps, whatever evidence Israel produces, they will continue to say that that hospital explosion was Israel's fault.
It's true. It's just because of the established bias among Arab societies is strongly pro-Palestinian and very suspicious and dismissive of usually of everything that Israel said. Also, it's just the way that the story was initially reported, as everybody knows, as an Israeli strike that that attacked a hospital, leading to collapse and a very large death number. That initial reporting already activated a very strong emotional response among large segments of Arab populations that is very hard to restrain afterwards, even if the initial reporting turns out untrue. And as more reporting now and evidence is surfacing that was refuting this initial reporting, it's just there is no way to just restrain this emotional response. You can see that in the coverage of the Arab media already yesterday on, for example, on many networks with Al Jazeera, Sky News, Arabia. You had journalists discussing that even if this turns out eventually Islamic Jihad field rockets is still the fault of Israel. Moreover, you do have the momentum on the political side in Arab states. If you're talking about Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they have always, since the war started, they've always wanted to find a way to restrain Israeli action. They want to contain the war and even stop it as much as possible. So this is an opportunity for pressure on Israel. So the momentum is sadly is out, and it's really hard to bring back.
Is there any sympathy at all, do you think, in the Arab world for the campaign to eliminate Hamas? We know that they have made the lives of Palestinians miserable for many years.
The problem is that, sadly, and this it's not the first time that this happens, the framing that this is not a war, the prevalent framing is that this is not a war against Hamas, it's a war against the Palestinians. So it's a war between Israel and the Palestinians. And once that framing takes shape, then it's obviously side with the Palestinians. The Arab Brothers, a much weaker side. And so on and so forth. So I would say, sadly, and especially after last night, the momentum, the emotional momentum is overwhelmingly to the side of the Palestinians. There were, as the war started, parts of Arab societies, not to mention Arab governments and Arab intellectuals and Arab media figures who did sympathize, who did condemn Hamas very harshly, and they were sympathizing cautiously with Israel's objective to destroy Hamas. Many of those people will find it now much harder to express this opinion. I actually been talking with many friends in Arab countries since last night about all of this, and it seems that things significantly got harder over the past 12 hours for them to express those opinions. So I would imagine that there is some number left of the people who are sympathetic, especially that a lot of people don't like the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas to begin with, but it's becoming much more difficult for them to express this opinion publicly, giving the, as I said, the overwhelming current emotional response.
Hussein, I want to ask you about Egypt. The president's in a bit of a tight spot, isn't he? Because Egypt is the only country that controls the border into Gaza, which is not Israel. Why is there such strong opposition to accepting refugees, even if it would be temporarily?
There are some good reasons. Egypt has some good reasons to strongly oppose this, and which still doesn't mean that it's an easy problem to solve or it's the right thing to do. First of all, there are not much humanitarian considerations. Most of the considerations are political and security related. since the Arab Spring, has had, even before that, very tense relationship with the Hamas terrorist organization that's been ruling Gaza. There have been clashes directly between the Egyptian military and Gaza, including, of course, during the Arab Spring in 2011, in which Hamas elements crossed the borders and killed members of the Egyptian military. The relationship between Hamas and the former regime of ousted President Mohammed Morsi, and, of course, the ties between the Islamic jihadist insurgency in Sinai that the Egyptian army has been fighting for quite some time, and radical groups in Gaza, suspicion that they've been getting help from Gaza, actually most probably that they've been getting a lot of help from Gaza. All of this makes the Egyptian regime look at the situation very cautiously, afraid of the elements that might enter Egypt from Gaza. Secondly, there is a fear that this refugee population is going to become permanent. That is, this happened in the past, of course, with Lebanon. This happened with Jordan. This happened with other places. Other reasons have to do domestically with the situation of President Sisi himself. President Sisi has been suffering from a very huge decline in popularity, given the harsh conditions of the Egyptian economy, a brutal crackdown on civic liberties. So I don't think that President Sisi is in a position to be seen and to be berated by Al Jazeera and your usual suspects as somebody who's collaborating with Israel or helping Israel. Sadly, all of these security and political considerations ultimately completely overshadow, completely sideline any humanitarian consideration about helping the people in Gaza. And that's why Egypt is so resistant to this.
All right. Hussein Aboubakr Mansour, he's the project director at the Endowment of Middle East Truth. Thank you very much, Hussein. We appreciate it. Thank you.